Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. Derek Askler and Craig Talley's on the line there. We'll be hosting the show tonight. Going to talk a little bit about a lot about metal detecting, I guess, Craig. I don't know how to put that any other way right now. Shoot, it's been a long couple days for me, so I'm kind of running in and out and doing this and that, and oh god, I finally got to slow down this afternoon. I had to take a siesta. I guess I'm at that age. Take a little nap and shoot, woke up and said, "Oh man, we got to do the show." I kind of lost track of the days there for a minute. Seems like, but I guess it's better to be busy than be bored, right?
Hmm.
But at any rate, yeah, we been talking a lot, shoot, about settings and about new detectors and new technology over the last, I don't know, about a week, Craig, and I've been seeing just the finds that are happening right now. And this is on Instagram and stuff. I really like Instagram. I didn't think I was going to really like it as much as I do. But I was looking at several of the posts that were made in there. Just the one heart. I think you put it up on. What was that heart pendant? Is that gold that you
Uh,
put up on there? Or, I just happened to look at it
I
just before the show.
I don't know what kind of metal it is, but it looks like it's silver plated underneath.
Oh, is it okay?
And
I
I
thought it was
don't,
older.
yeah. It just when it was in the dirt, I thought it was, it had like stones in it or something, but it's like plastic on it or something. Uh, so I don't know, I don't know how old it was, but it was probably 6 inches deep in the ground. But uh,
Yeah, I was trying to, I was kind of going through there, and I'm still trying to get used to Instagram. My God, and maybe it's because I'm doing, on my phone, and I get these people posting because I know that there was a lady that commented on that one, but I know she detects too, and then all of a sudden it went to some field, and it was like a panoramic view or something like that. I don't know, I couldn't, not that I couldn't figure it out. I guess I just didn't have time to figure it out before I started saying, "Oh man, I got to look at this. I got to look at that." It's the same thing with every time I get on Instagram. It's like I plan on kind of learning, posting and all that stuff a little bit better, easier way to do it, and then I get to reading somebody's, comment that they put down under a find they made, or I see something on there, and before you know it, I've spent an hour on the thing and not done what I wanted it to do. So that's what it seems like it's been the story of my life for the last, I don't know, month with the Instagram. But I like it better than like Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. It seems like a lot less other junk on there. It's just pretty much what we like talking about is metal detecting and all the finds, interesting stuff. So
yeah,
that's
it's like Instagram's owned by Facebook, I think. But
yeah, something like
it, yeah, but yeah, I got into it about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, and I had an account, and I really hadn't done much with it, and I was taking a break from Facebook, kind of like right like I'm now doing. But anyway, I I started looking through, and I noticed that a lot of diggers were on on Instagram, like stealth diggers, and
right.
you know a lot of people. There's a lot of advertising done on Instagram. A lot of different subjects. I see all kinds of professional tennis players have Instagram accounts. Celebrities. You name it. It's anything that you can actually any kind of sport. Nature. There's a lot of nature stuff on there.
Hmm.
Uh, there's probably about a million accounts on cats.
Yeah. Well, I find myself like on Facebook. I always go to like Don't Tread on Me or New Age Goonies or Dirt Digging Pirate or Dirt Pirate Detecting or whatever. I just kind of bounce around to all our friends and acquaintances and stuff in the hobby. I don't really like, I don't know, search out a lot of stuff on Facebook like I do Instagram. It's like people start following you, you're following them, and then all of a sudden it's kind of keeping me. Maybe that's the way it's designed to keep you on that uh,
It is
topic or
everything,
whatever. And that's what I like about it. I don't
but
have to search out stuff.
yeah,
But
it's I've kind of I see people that I, know on Facebook that also have, Instagram accounts and stuff, and I've commented with some of the people on there, and they're saying, they've been staying away more from Facebook, and posting more on Instagram.
Well, I think we're going to groups more because it's like Loy started up on Relics Radio and or not started it, but anyways, he'll say, like Derek, I suggested this to you, so or whatever. I get that message and I go over to it and I can, it's okay. Loy's doing it. It's Relics Radio, cool. I'll click, like. And then I'll pan down. There's a bunch more on there, and maybe that's the way you guys have it. You and Bethany had it set up. But I pan down through. Oh, wait a minute, that one's a metal detecting one. Let's check it out. And I can like that way. It makes it kind of convenient. But then you got I call it the hoochie mama section where you got all the garbage. The people that want to whatever, the telemarketers, all that kind of crap. You got to kind of be careful. And I mean, when we were liking people or accepting friend requests and stuff like that, I've noticed anymore you really got to watch that now on Facebook, because you've already had it happen to you, or they try to steal your identity and this and that. I don't know if they seem to be doing a halfway decent job of getting that stopped, but I guess it's just a reality of it all. But
it's like back a few years ago they were doing all these fake we call it lottery things and all kinds of money giveaways and all kinds of weird stuff. And then, you would get a thing and you look and it's your friend, and actually it was a clone of your friend.
Right.
They were actually cloning the whole page, and using it that way. But people are going to game the system, and they just, I don't know. It's
even when I was,
and Facebook, doesn't really crack down on it like they should. They need to break Facebook up. There's talks about separating Instagram from Facebook, but it's I don't know. It's just
I don't mind it too much. It's just when you got a lot of stuff that we're just getting hammered with so much information. It's like Barb's on here tonight, and she was saying 10,000 students are back, and and the internet goes to hell in a week. And that's a big thing down here in Florida. I'm at the VFW post, auxiliary, and all that stuff over there, and they were talking about how we did our back to school drive. We buy a lot of school supplies and donate them to the elementary school, grade schools, and stuff like that, just as a kind of helping out families around here and stuff. And the big news was all the kids got their laptops, and it's like so now I don't know what that really means. I know we're in the computer age and everything, and I'm not kind of dumb about that, but with all these laptops and how they have the internet access up, I know they're probably trying to kind of monitor it better and stuff like that. Restrictions or whatever you want to call it, keep them from getting onto sites they shouldn't be. But I don't, with all those that much more people getting on the internet, how does that affect everything? There's all these unknowns that
kids are better on the internet than the adults are, so they figure out a way around it.
Oh yeah, it's like my one of my good friends. She's got three.
When I was a coach, I would see it, and I walked by these kids and I saw what they were doing, and I just started laughing. And they got all, and are you going to say anything? And I go, no. I said, I was a kid once, but I said, just, hide it a little better.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I mean, you decide what to do. I'm not a disciplinarian particularly, but that's the way it is. Kids learn this stuff a lot earlier nowadays.
This is a true thing, Craig.
They've grown up with the internet to the point where it's, you can't take it away from them. I'm addicted to the internet myself. I'm on the internet all day long.
I've kind of steered away from it a little bit, but it's still, even with a friend of mine, she has 3 boys, and it's a 4-year-old and 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, something like that. But it was funny. She got an iPhone, and she was having a problem with it, and she's not stupid about cell phones or anything like that. But she goes, God, I'm just not used to this iPhone. She had like an Android before that. And her little boy reaches his hand up, and she goes, oh, fine, you fix it. And it's the 4-year-old, Craig, and I'm not even exaggerating. He gets it working. She goes, "Up, that's what I had them for. I had so they can no technology, and I don't have to mess with it anymore." It was just comical. 4 years old and be able to navigate a cell phone and everything else. And she goes, "Oh yeah, he watches his. They put the cartoons or whatever on there for him, and she goes, if we're in a car or something, he just pulls that out and uses it." And I'm like, "That's pretty cool." But yeah, I said I'll have to have him figure out how to work my radio show and stuff like that, so I can get it done right.
It didn't take me any time to figure out the iPhone.
Yeah.
I actually like figuring it out, and same with the iPad.
Well, you're a techie guy. You're a techie, Craig. You like the tech.
I was one of the top 1% that got an iPad right off the bat.
Right.
The first one that came out, and I remember my friend Mike came by, and we sat there and played with that thing. We couldn't believe it. The next thing I knew, it was like 1:30 in the morning. So we were discovering something new about that thing about every 5 or 10 minutes. It was amazing, and it's changed everything for me. I got the iPhone the next year, and all these people were going, and then I had it got so where even some of the college kids would come up to me and say, "Man, my iPhone just bricked on me." I go, "Here, give it to me," and I'd reboot it for them, and they go, "Man," and I go, "Look, I read about all this stuff, I don't want to have to, go and get somebody to fix it. I want to be able to fix it myself." And there's plenty of videos and stuff that you can do that, it's like anything that happens that I don't know about, I either Google it or YouTube it. They're the two biggest search engines on the planet, and if they don't have it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I guess I was looking at chat over here. We got Gavin on here, and Paul Forsay, and Barbara, and Bill Marsh, and Brandon from New York. And Brandon said they found his first harmonica reed last week at a site, and didn't realize what it was until today. It's like that with some relics. That's why I always tell guys, don't throw anything away until you know exactly what it is. And Bill gets on her and said, so normally folks think they've never seen one, call it a muffler hanger or something like that. I see that too with one guy when I was in Tennessee, he said, "I'm finding these wire things and they have like a round circle on them and everything, and it's a J-hook is what he was finding." And he was throwing them away or something. That was, oh my God, don't throw them away. Those are J-hooks, for the Civil War era. And he's, I didn't even think about that.
Never throw anything brass away that's, in an old site. Until if you don't know what it is, put a picture up on one of the relic hunting, but you can go to Virginia Diggers or
Ohio Relic Hunter. He knows everything too.
Yeah.
Bill knows a lot about a lot of different stuff.
But there's a ton of sites, that, people will be able to tell you what it is. It's amazing how much knowledge has been collected by all these people.
Yeah, I actually found you're talking about the harmonica reeds. I actually found a harmonica that wasn't even, I don't know, about 2 inches long. Not even that. It was smaller than that. It was a little, oh God, what was the name of it? I'd never found one that small, but it was probably from the 20s or 30s. I don't think it was really older than that. I find a lot of regular, different shaped harmonica reeds. There's like 3 or 4 different shapes I found down here, and all you find is the brass part. You don't usually find, usually they're made out of wood. I think, Craig, weren't they? I'm assuming they were probably the wood. Above the reeds and stuff like that, so they don't usually last. The one I found that was a small one actually was some kind of a tin stainless. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was stainless. Probably like a chromed piece or something. But probably from the 20s or 30s, if not later. But yeah, usually all you find is the reeds.
Yeah, you hardly ever find anything but the reeds. But I remember when I started digging in my yard here, I found 2 complete ones. With the chrome and everything. And I was showing Mike, I said, "Look at this, man. It's a complete harmonica." And he goes, "Man, I've never dug one. I've never, it's funny, And I said, I dug 2 of them, right in the backyard. And I said, "That's funny."
Yeah.
There must have been a lot. I think there was a lot of kids probably that lived in this house over the years. from all the
Oh yeah.
little toys and marbles. And somebody was saying, man, you find a lot of marbles. And I said, yeah, it's weird. I said, place up the street, when they bulldozed it, well, they bobcat it, and then it would start raining. They knocked the house down, and they, just dug up the place. So it was all bare dirt pretty much. And every time it rained, I could walk around. I used to find buttons and marbles just laying on the ground.
Yep.
In some bottles, I could see them, but you don't know, how much of this stuff is actually in the ground, because you can't hear it, with a detector.
I've had it too when they were doing sidewalks around here, putting not new sidewalks, they were putting in sidewalks. This is several years ago, and they'd scrape the ground alongside of the road, and it's a trashy area anyways, right? 10 to 20 feet on either side of the road is usually a mess. Tin cans, whatever people have chucked out their windows over the years. But they had scraped about sidewalk size, maybe a little bigger of a path right down the road. And I just went down through there, and I was thinking, oh my God, there's just billions of targets. You just can't even get to, single out anything. It's so bad. And I started noticing glass on the ground, and I thought, well, a broken bottle or something. Then I seen an inkwell sticking up out of the ground. I'm like, oh, then it turned into a bottle hunt. That's when I've talked about it before, like over 100 bottles, all of them probably, the majority of them were right to like 1890 to 1910. Right, that era, there was a lot of cork, the ones that were cork bottles, like the liniment oils and stuff like that, inkwells and all that. But yeah, it turned into a bottle hunt. And they're only like not even a quarter inch down in the ground. I mean, I've seen a lot of them on top of a lot of broken glass, and all different colors. And, it turned into a bottle hunt. And it's just right down the side of the road. I don't know what was going on right there, why they were dumped there. But then again, 100 years ago, that may not even been a road. You know what I mean? We have an older town here. It dates back to, I think they established in 1858 or something like that. I know where I was hunting at that Baptist church property. It's actually it's been a parking lot for years, and they have the new church. They had a church there in 1850s, and then built a new church across the street from it in 1950, somewhere in there. And then we put the big church right next to that one, and the original, of course, was the parking lot now. So I find everything under the sun, and I just never know when I'm going to dig up. I actually took Mike and Mark Hoover over there and let them, just kind of detect for a while. And Mark ended up finding a few bling rings and stuff like that. But we used to find barber dimes and class rings and badges from the junior deputies and stuff. I don't know what was going on there, but this is all older stuff. Even the old record players from back then. I can't remember. I don't know why it's not registering in my head. The ones with the big horn on them. I found actually connectors for that record playing machine or whatever, and they didn't know what they were at first. And Victrola, that's what it's called. But anyways, the brass pieces for that, gears and buttons. There was the biggest button spill. It must have been, there was a house there at one time on the other edge of the property, and they said there was like 3 or 4 houses that burned down along the road right there back in the 70s or something like that. But the biggest button spill, I mean, I probably dug 100 buttons in about a 3 foot by 3 foot area. It must have been the part of the house was that they used for a sewing room or something like that. But there was, I think there was an eagle button in there. There, just so many different kinds of buttons. Craig, and you knew it wasn't a normal thing like one fell off somebody's shirt or something like that, or jacket. It was just all in a big old pile. But yeah, trying to detect it was crazy. Just so many targets. But then again, Craig, I've dug thousands of, relics there and coins and stuff. So it just gets so busy that you got to just kind of like take 2 foot at a time and work that site, or it'll overwhelm you. I've had people walk away from that site, wouldn't even do it. And Mike, I was actually surprised. I figured Mike Miller would probably hang in there because Mike's like you, Craig. He's been hunting forever, and then Mark, got in there, and He went along I think he was going around along the sidewalks or something like that. That's where he found the rings. He found some change, and it just keeps on giving up. There's just so many targets in there. But they had a blast. But I've had other friends in there that are like, man, you do this? You can actually detect this? I said, yeah, man, it's all about settings and stuff like that. It's like, you just got to tone your machine down and get smaller coil on and then be able to work it. I said, but there's so many good things in here that are still here. I mean, I know that there has to be silver coins in there. I found gold rings in there. It's just that, when you run your coil over the ground, you're getting 25 million beeps on one swing, it seems like. So it takes a lot of patience, but that's where you start working with your discriminations and turning them higher and lower and unmasking targets and everything. I found axe heads in there. I found a cane, top of a cane, the old T canes or whatever, the fancy handles. I found one of those. It wasn't even an inch down in the ground. It's just, trying to locate targets when they're so close together, kind of like your yard, Craig. I mean, every time you go, you talked about that before the show. You go out there once a day till you find something good, then you give it up. It's like your little fix for metal detecting for the day.
Yeah, I either find something, give it up, or I get run out by the mosquitoes. That's what's been happening this week. But I'd gone about maybe 4 times without finding anything really good, and I think it was yesterday I was out there and I kept getting this really good signal and it wouldn't pinpoint. I got down on the ground and got the pinpointer out and I was going all over the ground, no signal. Thought there's something wrong with it, and it turned out to be these hot rocks. And it rained for like 2 or 3 days, and I guess somehow those hot rocks were coming back. I run the discriminator at -9. That might have something to do with it, but I find that I can pick more stuff out of the ground. I dig more iron up, but I'm picking up stuff that I wasn't able to pick up before. And it's like today I went up to that same tree that I was getting all those hot rod signals, and I turned the machine on and I wasn't getting them. And I've been trying different programs and stuff, and like today I used Field 2. And I dug up I got an 8 or 9 signal, and I dug down about 6 or 7 inches and popped out a big ball of tinfoil. Yeah. And I got a couple other things. I got a couple pieces of sheet metal that were coming back kind of in one direction good, and I just took a chance because there's so many nails that could be blocked on one side. But,
right.
But normally, if it's just nails, it seems like the Equinox will push. It'll just push right through those and give me a better reading. But anyway, I kind of after about 40 minutes, I was starting to get some mosquito bites. So I decided, I'll head on back in and I'll just sweep back to the house. And so I'm sweeping across the yard, and I get this nice hit. And I go, wow, that sounds good. And I look at the meter, and it's like, 8 or 9, I think, on the meter. And I check it in both directions. It's coming back good. And it's only like 4 inches deep. And so I popped the plug, and it's a Tomback cuff button.
Huh.
Maybe, it's about the size of a dime. It's, but anyway, I thought, man, that is crazy. And it was broken. It had a piece broken off of it, but it's about 3/4 of it was there. But
it always seems like it works like that, Craig. On the way back to the car or way back to the house or whatever, always that last target's a good one. So why couldn't I start with that one?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot of people, they don't hunt right by the car. They just start walking out, and they walk out into the woods or whatever, or I don't know. I've seen that happen before, but
That happened at the DIV when I was up there in 2015, I guess it was. We all parked our car. They had us parking our trucks and stuff, and we all got out. And they said, "Oh, we can start hunting or whatever," and walked away. And I guess somebody was right behind. I can't remember. Anyways, where we were parked, they were right behind the cars and found an eagle breastplate. But there were so many cans there. That's what was funny. The aluminum cans and stuff. Found it mixed in amongst all that stuff, and it was comical. But then everybody was like behind the cars trying to find, and all they found was tin cans. It was just like a lucky thing. Got his coil over it, but yeah, it was right behind where they parked at. I've done it too. Come back to the car and get 10 feet away and start finding stuff. It's just weird. You parked your vehicle right on top of everything.
yeah, it's a crazy hobby, I tell you.
I don't know what they're talking about on chat here. I see Bill put on here something about drink until they're warm and fuzzy, then get hauled off in the bed of a pickup truck. I've had those days. I think they're talking about somebody's in-laws. At any rate, a whole another conversation going on in there. Let's see, we got yard effect diggers on tonight. Bob D's on tonight. Oh, he's the one. He had to go to a family reunion. I know how that goes. But yeah, sometimes you need a few beers to put up with them. Love my family, but still. Gosh. Yeah, I was telling Craig this morning, I woke up and went outside to have my coffee and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's not so like a sauna outside. It's not, it's not like, humidity's not very high. Compared to what it's been over the past month and a half, and then I get a little breeze, Craig, and it was just a little bit of a cool breeze, and I'm like, oh no way, don't lie to me, don't tease me, because it feels like, my gosh, like 90. I think it's been in the 90s every single day, upper 90s, feels like 102 type thing, but the humidity at night, it's like you can't even go outside at night without, for more than 5 minutes without just starting to sweat because it's so humid out, and going outside to work or whatever. I mean, we all got to do that. I don't mind being out there, but doggone, I don't want to sit there and melt while you're trying to metal detect. Because it is physical and everything, and it's like the only thing that ever got to me. I don't wear gloves. I hate wearing gloves, anyways. But I'm glad I don't, Craig, because how many times have you reach down into the hole, you imagine sweating that much, and all you're doing is making mud everywhere. Every coin you pick up, every dirt pile you get into, it turns into a mud pit because you're sweating so bad. I was like, oh my God, just make it a little bit drier. If I wanted to hunt in the rain, I would, right? I guess it wouldn't be that much fun if you can't play in the mud, right?
I've been on these construction sites, and you dig something up, and oh my God, trying to get the mud off of it.
Yeah, to see what it is.
when you already have your hand, like if I had gloves on, they would just, I would use like my knife just to cut the mud off the gloves. I cut, I'd take my intrinsic shovel and scrape my shoes off, my boots off. After a while, I'd go out there and I'd be up, ankle deep in the mud. And, you go down to try to dig. A lot of times I would try to just push, the shovel down, and then, because normally I'd hammer, have the shovel like an L and just hammer a hole. But I would just kind of stick it down and then pry up instead of, hitting the ground, because every time you hit the ground, mud goes everywhere.
Oh, I know. I was just going to say that's happened to me. I had that entrenchment shovel. I said, well, I'm going to go out into these, this area over here. And the first target I had, I hit the ground with that entrenchment shovel, and it must have been a piece of bark like laying just under the grass, and there was a pocket underneath. And of course, it had been raining out, and all I got is a chest full of mud where it come blasting out of there. I'm like, oh my God. Craig sends me a metal detector one time. I think it was a couple years ago, and I get it out of the box, and I think I told you, Craig. I can't remember if it was you or I might have been Beach Bum. I said, man, if you would have scraped the mud off the machine right there, you probably could have saved $2 or $3 on postage, because it seemed like there was a ton of mud on it. Craig said, well, I don't clean it. I finally told Craig, mud's no longer a dirty thing on metal detecting. It's an accessory. So you got
Yeah.
mud. So, oh
Well,
man.
real relic hunters don't clean their stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, my wife doesn't even let me wear my boots in the house anymore. The way their house is set up, they got a laundry room. She goes, don't even go any farther than that. Just get them boots off, get those jeans off, because I'm always covered in mud and everything else. I said, come on,
Well,
honey, it's accessory.
I do leave my shovel outside, but
Yeah, reluctantly, right? No, I got shovels. One of my buddies stopped by. He goes, "Do you have shovels everywhere?" I said, "Well, you never know when you need a shovel. You got a shovel over here. You got a shovel over there. Flat shovels, all these different kinds of shovels." I said, I use them, and I have like these overhangs, whatever, on the roof part, and I'll just stick them in the ground right there. It keeps them pretty much out of the rain for the most part. And some of them are old. I mean, I haven't used them in a while, but they've almost become yard decorations. Pauline always tells me, "Why don't you get those things picked up?" I said, "I move them around the yard because as soon as I put them away, I'm going to need them again. It's always doing something." But my back of my truck, I have like 3 or 4. I started carrying extra shovels, Craig, because I never know when I'm going to break one of them. It sounds
yeah.
silly, but I've done that before. I had to go to Walmart and bust buy a shovel just to get by. So
I got an entrenching shovel right in my the floor of the passenger side of my car. Sit there. A lot of times instead of walking up the street, I'd just drive my car up there, with all the shovels. I'd take like 2 different shovels out on that site I had permission at, and I'd leave one by the wall.
Yep.
Start digging, and if I needed, I usually use the straight shovel, and then if I needed to, really hammer, there was a couple places where it was a lot of roots in the ground.
Yeah.
I see. I'd tack the ground with the trenching shovel.
Yeah.
But,
I was in there reading chat, and Craig, Ohio says, "Geez, Derek, it sounds like she's trying to seduce you rather than trying to keep the house clean." I say, it's kind of a running joke in here. I'll come in and everything, and she goes, "Well, next thing you know, you're going to want to talk dirty to me." Or I said, "Well, talk dirty to me." She goes, "Soap scum, mildew, dust." So that's our, talking dirty at any rate. But we got yard fact digger. He said you bought a Telenox shaft, and thanks for the recommendation, Greg. That goes to you because you bought one of those. So glad you're liking it.
Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Craig seems to like it. I'm probably going to end up buying an Equinox. I can see it happening. I haven't had time to detect really, Craig. I mean, I go out when I can, but and it hasn't been the best time down here in Florida. This is the worst months to detect. It's kind of like wintertime for you, Craig. It's just so stinking hot, and usually September through probably April is the best months to hunt down here. I'll go to the beach and stuff, but usually at night. It just gets so damn brutal unless you're in the woods or something like that. Don't mind doing it, but it just it gets old after you spend 8 or 9 hours outside.
I
dying.
never minded the cold that much. As long as it's like in the woods and you got leaf cover on the ground, it can go. I've hunted 14-degree weather, and the ground is diggable.
Right.
But it's like, especially most of the time when you're relic hunting, these Civil War sites, the soldiers were always where the sun was. They're not on the other side of the hill where where there's no sun. So usually the sun's hitting the ground and it warms up everything. So I've rarely had any problem in the woods, no matter how cold it is. But
right.
It's different in a field or a yard or something. Sometimes you can hunt, maybe in the low 30s. You can get away with it, but.
Well, we were out there at that hunt up there, the Florida Hunt 4, Greg Pompano, and put it on, and I think Michael Boyles was there, and Mark Hoover was there, but, they were all, in the morning, even I brought my mom to that one, she had a ball, but, it was funny, it was like looking at Nanook of the North when Mike Miller's out there in a big heavy jacket, everybody's in jackets, I'm out there in a t-shirt. I mean, it's 40, 45, 47 degrees, I was in heaven, I could hunt all day long like that. You get down into the 30s, that's a different story. I need to have a jacket on. But, once you start moving and you start digging holes and stuff, I mean, it's like, For me, it's I'm totally fine. Even when I hunted with you, Craig, I think we had jackets, but it was like windbreakers or whatever, just to keep the
Yeah.
dew and stuff off of us. And there was one guy hunting with us, and he's all bundled up like Nanook of the North. I'm like, dude, really? I'm from Florida, and I can handle this. But some people, they get cold easy. But yeah, by about 11 o'clock, everybody's like down to t-shirts. The New Age Goonies. My they were out there. There was a lot of us. I think we had like 100 to some hunters out there, and mostly Florida. But we have a ton of relic hunters and stuff down here too. I mean, they've all moved down to Florida or whatever, and they all travel. I know Mark gets around the country pretty good anymore. He does better than I do at it. As far as getting these flights everywhere and for work and stuff. And I told Pauline, I said, man, if I was still a truck driver, I could really do some relic damage out there, finding some history everywhere because I used to go all around the country. But then and then that would have been easier too, Craig. Back in the late '90s and early 2000s. I mean, I didn't really get on the internet or Facebook, or I don't think Facebook was even around. It was MySpace back then or whatever. But you travel around, you couldn't find anywhere to hunt without just popping in somewhere and seeing if you could hunt there, type thing. But now, with all the friends around the country and stuff like that, heck, I call Bill. Hey, Bill, I'm going to be in Ohio here this weekend, and he's, oh, come on and hunt or whatever. Or, go up there by you and we'll go hunt the trenches or whatever. It makes it a lot easier to communicate or whatever with other people that are in the hobby. So that's one benefit. But back then I didn't have that. But my daughter Bethany's moving. She does the Patreon page and helps us with all the Facebook pages and stuff. She's actually there within the next 2 weeks. They're moving out to Colorado, north of Colorado Springs for jobs. They got a new company out there or something like that. I don't have all the details, but I told her, I said, I mean, that'd be great. I know that, we have several guys that listen to us that are in Colorado and surrounding areas. I always liked Durango, Colorado. I've been through there many times, and, great scenery. And shoot, got gold up there too in Colorado, I believe, Craig, don't they? Maybe I'll do some gold prospecting. Well, at least
my
have
brother, kind of late in his career was, he was getting toward retirement age and everything, but he, all of a sudden they said he had to move out to Colorado, and he said, I've been out there so many times. He said, it is so cold in the winter.
Yeah,
I couldn't stand it. He said, I just couldn't, I said, I'll just go ahead and retire.
Yeah. I was running, me and Pauline both
there,
did that. Early, I think it was 2004 or something like that. Pauline and I had actually put her in a truck, and we did nothing for 6 months but run between Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Golden, Colorado, twice a day, and then had off every weekend. They paid for hotel rooms and the whole 9 yards. And I used to go to a place off of Happy Jack Road or Happy Jack Trail up there, the Granite Reservoir, and go trout fishing. Right there in the reservoir, we bobtail our semis up there. And we had a whole group of us from Georgia and Florida that went up there to haul that Y grade and butane and all that stuff that goes boom. But we did that during the week. But we bobtail up there to the reservoir, park our semis right there, and go get our trout fishing license before that. But we make a big campfire and a couple cases of beer and trout fish and drink beer all weekend. That's back in the day, but it's a beautiful area up there. And then we go to the rodeo up there and everything up there in Cheyenne days and everything. That was a blast. But yeah, that was a good experience up there. But I never really, back then it just, I was working. I brought a detector with me, but it wasn't like you didn't know anybody really. Once I got to know people up there, and then I could do some detecting and stuff. But we always had fun hanging out and everything. But we stayed at the I think it was they had the Outlaw Saloon right there, and then the Rodeo Inn. That's a crazy place up there. We had a blast though. But I used to, we'd go down to Tombstone, Arizona. Every time we went to California, we'd swing down that way and stop in there, knew a lot of the shop owners and stuff down there, and just that, kind of like another hobby of ours. We always like the cowboy shooting and stuff like that, Craig, the sports shooting, and a lot of the history parts of it. A lot of neat little towns through there. I always like the towns off the beaten path. You'd never know what you find. They took us up into some of the attics of the building and stuff like that, and found, just all this old antique kind of stuff. I don't know if it was from that, from Tombstone or whatever, but it was just old stuff. I love plundering through boxes and stuff. It was kind of neat. It's a different kind of treasure hunting.
Yeah.
Well, Howard Hewitt did that. He was up there at that CW PPO hunt. He's got his metal detector. He goes, "Hey, you mind if I look in the barn?" He goes, "Well, yeah, sure, go look in the barn." So I think Howard was in there for like 3 hours or something like that, plundering around in the barn and came out with stuff. He goes, "I'm in heaven." So I do that with Pauline. Pauline's dad had a barn like that, and we'd go out there, and man, I'd find stuff from Craig way back. Actually, when we cleaned the barn out eventually, I even found stuff that was buried in the ground, old, copper pipes, and we were recycling everything, all the metals and stuff. And I couldn't even believe how much metal was that had either it had sunk into the sand or I don't know what he was doing with it, and he's been gone for a while now. But I dug up, I think I got like $800 in copper pipe. that was in the ground. I actually ran over and I'm like, what is this stuff? Loaded it on. I thought it was just metal because it was so corroded, just like black water pipe, or what do they call it, water pipe. And I had it in the back of the trailer, and they were like in 12-foot sections or something like that. And the next morning I got out and said, man, it doesn't look like iron piped. I mean, I run my pocket knife across it, and it was copper, and it was heavy, dude. I mean, this stuff must have been from I don't know, back in the 60s or something. They don't make anything that heavy anymore unless you want to pay a premium dollar for it. But yeah, you find treasure everywhere. I was a recycling fool for a summer. But that's when it was paying $3.95 a pound too. So now you're lucky if you can get $1 a pound, seems like. I don't know.
Well, they think you're stealing it nowadays, I think.
Oh yeah, we used to, the stuff
I don't even think it's worth stealing anymore, is it?
Nah, I wouldn't think so. There's still people that try to do it. Well, they stopped I used to find, and I know we all do find, the ground wires, chunks of ground wire around. It seems like, heck, my father-in-law's property, they had the barbed wire up with concrete poles in the ground, these small concrete poles, and he used copper wire to hold the barbed wire to the concrete, to the pole itself. It's hard to explain, but anyway, they did that back in the early 70s or something like that. They just had it. Well, you go metal detector, you find this copper everywhere. So I was recycling back then, and it would pay for my fuel or whatever. Once a year, I'd take it all down in there. I put all the, like the copper and the brass and the aluminum in 18-gallon bins, and I had them in the garage. So every time I went hunting, I just threw the junk in there. And, instead of throwing it in the garbage can. And, I took them all down there. I'd save all this stuff up, and I had railroad spikes and, just whatever I found. I took them to the recycler. They wouldn't take the wire because they said it's ground wires, and they're not allowed to accept those now. And, we have to have a photograph because you have all this aluminum, cast aluminum and this and that. We have to get your photo now. And it's getting even worse. Now you can't, air conditioners. We used to, God, I mean, you take those and you get a lot of aluminum and stuff out of them. It was a pain in the butt to clean them up, but I'd take the time to do it because I was making a living off of that, believe it or not, for about 2 years. Couldn't do a lot of other stuff, but yeah, they stopped. And now people started stealing air conditioners. Central heat and air units, just stealing them. From the backs of businesses and stuff. So they had to put a stop to it. It just made it so many restrictions. You get a few bad apples and it'll screw everything up for everybody. But I guess they were going around pulling. The reason they stopped the ground wires is because people were going around to the telephone poles or whatever, the power poles, and they were unbolting or digging up the ground wires that they have going down the side of the pole and pulling them out and taking them in to recycle them. They just go down the road and take all of them. I'm like, really? So,
I heard of people, town. All of a sudden, in the night, somebody stole like 2 miles worth of track, railroad tracks.
Yep.
In New York City, they pull up and, construction trucks block off the whole street, and they take all the power lines off the poles and everything, wrap them all up, and steal it.
Yeah,
All kinds of stuff
out of
like that,
control.
right in broad daylight.
Hmm. Well, what got me was the railroad
Crazy.
stuff, Craig. I got
Yeah.
we had a lot of the Orange Belt Railway, the narrow gauge railway. Man, I tell you what, I don't even know how many plates, the steel railroad plates. I just throw them in the back of the truck and your railroad spikes and stuff. You just throw them in the back of the truck. So I'll just haul them off for scrap metal. No big deal. I get them over there and they won't take them. They said, "Oh, this was railroad stuff. This is narrow gauge. This is not, this is not, CTX or whatever that or CSX or whatever the railway is down here now. It doesn't matter if it looks like railway. We can't take it." So I call up there's a train in Wildwood, Florida. There's a train. It's not a depot, but anyways, I stopped in there. I said, I said, "Well, what do I do with it?" And the guy said, "Can I give it back to you?" "Oh, no." I said, "Well, what do I do with it then? I can't take it to the scrap. I can't." He goes, "I don't know what to tell you. We can't take it back. We're not going to, can't do that." So I just dig a hole and throw it in the ground. And he said, threw his hands up in the air. I'm like, "You're really, really, you're trying to clean up the property, and now you can't even get rid of the stuff." But that's because so many people have stolen stuff. That's what it is. But yeah, so don't waste your time. My buddy has about 60 or 70 of those plates in his garage, because he'd always stack them up in the garage corner. And then he had to move, and he's like, "What do I do with it?" I said, "Leave it there for the next owner. Let them deal with it." So kind of like with you and bullets, Craig. You had 10,000 bullets or something like that. You had to move them in coffee cans.
Yeah.
God.
Probably more than that. But
Yeah, big old box.
as far as I've dug probably 30 railroad spikes out of my yard.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are like different than others. It's kind of weird.
I'd like to, get somebody that does blacksmithing. I don't even know if you could use them because they may be, too rusted. I don't know how that works, but make, like knives out of them, to dig, for metal detecting. That'd be pretty cool. Have one out, an actual, blacksmith, knife for metal detecting. Dig targets out with or whatever, shape it however you wanted to, make them out of the railroad spikes. Since they can't use them for nothing else, I might as well, I guess maybe I'll start a forge up and start doing that. Me and fire don't get along sometimes, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's I've dug right down the street. There was I got a signal under a rock, and a boulder. It's actually a boulder, and it had this weird shape to it. And I was thinking, man, it might be some part of a big shell or something, and I couldn't budge it. I couldn't get it out. And, so there's a guy, Roy, down the street, detector, and he kind of stopped by one day, and I said, "Hey, check this thing out," and he goes, "We got to get that out of the ground." I go, "Man, that thing's a pain." He goes, "No, we got to get it out of the ground now." We spent like half an hour and finally got it out of the ground. I think it weighs about 9 pounds, and it's part of I put pictures of it up, and it's part of a slide on a railroad door of a railroad car.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like two little wheels on it, but I don't know how it got jammed underneath a boulder. It was sideways underneath.
I don't know.
Crazy.
You talk about big iron stuff. The biggest thing I ever found. I was hunting, before I knew I couldn't, thank God I didn't get arrested for it back in the day. I was hunting by Hog Island, and it's actually part of the, I think some state forest or whatever. I didn't know, ignorance, but still. I was hunting in the parking area. I was just looking for change and stuff. I had my whites machine, and I was digging quarters, winter clad, and I got this signal near the water. They have like a swimming hole right there, and it had been a swimming hole for a while, and I was just kind of horsing around, and I was in the boat ramp area, and it was all dirt back then. I don't know what it is now, but I got this big iron hit, and I'm like, "Oh, what is that?" And I slammed my shovel down. I dug down about 8 or 9 inches, and I hit something really hard. So, investigating, and pulled up dirt, and I get this big. It turned out to be a chain, But this chain, each link, the links were, God, it had to have been at least as thick as big around as a silver dollar. The metal where the loops were that they were made out of. It was the riverboat chain that they dock up the riverboat right there, but way back when, and we're talking, late 1800s, early 1900s. But it was a 27-foot long, and it was anchored into this, I don't know, rock, or it was, I don't know if they had, if they'd used concrete back then or not. But I pulled all this chain out, but I couldn't take it. I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of money right here, and scrap metal. I mean, this thing was really heavy. The loops were probably about as, oh God, big around as dinner plates, like an oval dinner plate, but it was really thick steel and everything, old steel. And, well, I guess somebody got it, or somebody got a torch and brought a torch out there and cut it. Because I left it all, I didn't want somebody, I just kind of piled it up on it. But I figured one of the rangers or whatever, game wardens or whatever, would see it and they'd get it. But somebody got that thing. But that was the biggest iron thing I ever dug. And it was quite heavy. Each one of those, it was a lot to drag that thing out of there and stack it up like. But I don't know, Craig, you've dug some pretty big iron things in your career, I'm sure. Just trying to see what they were: artillery shells, cannonballs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I got one artillery shell, but I dug that at the Manassas battlefield for the archaeologists. They didn't even know what it was, and then they got upset because I knew what it was. So,
Mm-hmm.
And how come you don't?
Yeah, no kidding.
But
yeah, I see. Oh, we got Swazi's on tonight, Craig. I'm glad he just dropped off. Craig just dropped off. But Brandon, nice to see you on chat there. Hang on, guys. Sorry. There he is. I don't know what happened, Craig. He dumped right off. It's like he hung up on us and you didn't want to talk to us no more. But
weird.
It went bloop, and that was it. But I was just saying, Brandon's on tonight. Swazi searcher. I hadn't seen him on here. He must have been working too much. So, not a lot of work that much, Brandon. You got to have some fun in life. But yeah. So it's a big. God, I have dug stuff that I pried up, and it was old Blackwater pipe and stuff, like 6-inch pipe. That's why we were talking about the shovels last week. I had a less shovel, about, I don't know, 30-inch long with that like narrow 3-inch blade on it, Craig. And I actually had a target over at one place, and it turned out to be a pipe, and there was nothing else around. I knew it wasn't anything live or nothing like that. And I started prying it up out of the ground. I actually stuck the tip of the shovel up underneath the pipe and stood on the other side and popped that pipe up out of the ground. I thought it was going to be a section of pipe. It turned out to be about a 40-foot section of it. We got it out of there. It was only about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches down in the ground. But I said, if that shovel can put up with that and not bend, and I'm a big guy, and standing on it, I think about it now. I'm glad it didn't slip. That could have really busted up my leg or something like that. But yeah, I'd pry it right out of the ground with that shovel and didn't even try to bend. I'm like, that's a damn good shovel. It's kind of like the Predator tools, all that stuff. Those things, if you bend one of those shovels, you're doing some crazy stuff with it or something. I think it was John. I talked to him at when we were up there for the Horsham hunt, and he was telling me he only got one back or something like that, and it was bent, but he just sent him a new shovel, something like that. Those things are so doggone durable. It's not funny. I still have mine. I mean, I use it every once in a while on like the hard pack dirt or shale down here in Florida. They got the shale mix. It gets like concrete. And if you ever get a target in an area, it's kind of like a roadbed up there, Civil War roadbed, Craig, where you get to pretty much chip away at it to get down into the thing. But that's what I use that shovel for, because it's just so doggone durable. You're not gonna break it, I don't think. But
yeah. That's like over the years, when I metal detected, nobody used straight shovels. They all used entrenching shovels.
I bent mine. That Japanese one I had. Don't buy a Japanese entrenchment tool. I liked it because it had a 36-inch handle on it. And it was like great to really hit the ground. But I bent the tar out of it, hitting a root. It glanced off of it the wrong way, and it tweaked the blade. So now you hit the ground, it's I don't know, it doesn't work right. I wish we could find those Korean War ones. Those were the best damn shovels, entrenchment shovels. I think they had the spike on the back. I think it's what you were using for years. The Korean War entrenchment tool.
I had 3 of them, brand new ones, and I went through all of them. Actually turned them all into spoons.
Yeah,
I think I have one left, but I got a bunch of the ones without them.
Mm-hmm. I went to the Army surplus store looking for you one time for Christmas.
I got a 31-inch Predator. I think it's about maybe a 5-inch blade on it.
Yeah.
But it takes good plugs and stuff.
Ohio Bill's on here. Root Assassin, best shovel on earth. Remember that one? Used it one time and it bent up. I'm like, oh my god. I got that Glock entrenchment tool was really, it collapsed, like it was made out of carbon fiber or something like that, some heavy polymer, but the neat thing about it had a storage thing in the back of the handle, and when you pulled that thing out, it was like a really aggressive, almost like a drywall saw, like for roots and stuff like that, and you could screw this thing onto the back end of the entrenchment tool to saw through a root or whatever. And I thought that was neat. So, I had that, but it would collapse down probably about 8 inches long, the whole shovel, or it would extend out to 22 inches long. But the only thing I ran into, Craig, it was so light. It was less than 20 ounces, but it was so light that you couldn't, I don't care how hard you swung it, it didn't have the weight to really get into the ground good. I mean, the way that we do, like you would do it with a normal shovel.
The one with the pick weighed on I think 4.5, 5 pounds.
Yeah, they were heavy, but they were good. I mean,
I could cut through a root size around my leg practically, fairly easily.
Well, I did find out with that stupid point on these. They put a lot of these new ones out, have this point on them. It's all well and good until you hit a root and you go to cut a root. It's going to glance either left or right. It doesn't ever stick into that. So I started taking a grinder and just grinding maybe a 1/2 inch flat spot in the very nose of the shovel blade. And that way it has something to, it's going to grab and cut through. You have those points that always glance off to the right or left, and it's like, you waste a swing. So that's what I did. I just grind the tip of it off so that it wasn't pointed anymore. Sharpen it and everything, but that way when you hit a root, it didn't glance off of it as easily.
Yeah, I got to where I could hit it spot on where I wanted to. I could take a full swing, but left-handed even, and whack the spot I wanted as roots. But there was some roots. I don't know what kind of plants, what kind of trees they were, but the roots were like rubber. So it would like bounce off of them. It wouldn't.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what I do is I cut around them, but those entrenching shovels really have saved a lot of work. I mean, we used to use them in hut sites, but sometimes you got to be careful when you get down toward the bottom. You're going to hit something, but it's hard to even get. I don't even know. I remember I bought 25 shovels. A guy bought about 100 of them. He went down to North Carolina and brought about 100 back, and I gave him money up front to give me about 25 of them.
Yeah.
So I think I sold about 15 of them, and I made triple my money on them because they were so rare.
Yeah, I went down to the Army surplus store it's like an Army surplus store in Brooksville, and asked him, I got entrenchment shovels, no problem. Oh, great. I was going to get one for you for Christmas, because at that time I pretty much just met you, and you were talking about not being able to find them anymore, and all of them were Vietnam era or World War II. There was no Korean War. I said, no, I need the one with the spike on the back of it. Oh no, we sold out of those years ago. I'm like, man, I tell you, I've got every time I see an Army surplus store or something like that, I used to see them all over the place, but I always stop in there. That's the first one they're out of.
Yeah, the first ones I got from Nick Harris at the regimental headquarters down there in Fredericksburg. It's a relic shop, and he had a big stack of them. He had a barrel full of them, one time. But
and the Vietnam era ones ain't worth the flip, I don't think. I mean, they're. Well, I mean, you could use them. I mean, you got to use what you got to use, but they were noticeably less durable than the Korean War, era. And the ones they make now, I don't. They're not. They're lightweight and everything. I mean, but I just you could tell that maybe it's the kind of steel they use may be better. I don't know. Now, the tensile strength or whatever of it. It just seems like they'd bend awful easy.
I know they were a lot heavier.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I found that Glock, it's just pretty much, they make a good shovel. That'd be great for camping or whatever else. And it did a pretty good job. But if you start hitting like a lot of roots or prying with it, you're gonna tweak it. That's the only thing with it. But they have a good design, anyways. It just doesn't have the weight to it to really penetrate into into a root or something like that, a thicker root. Well, that's why it has a saw on it, right? At any rate. Yeah. But anyways, what I'm going to do is take the head of that shovel off of that Glock, but I'm going to keep the handle because, like I said, it has that. You actually unscrew the end of it, pull it out, turn it around, and put it back in and screw it in, and it's actually about a 4-inch saw blade, 4 or 5 inch. I thought that'd be kind of neat to not carry with me all the time, but at least have in the truck in case I get near. We always end up getting a root. And you can't get the target out. You get through that root first, and you can cut up the ground so bad, or you can just cut that root out of the way. It was actually a pretty substantial saw blade on there, but it was narrow, thin, or I don't know, about narrow or whatever. You didn't have to have a lot of room. If I could talk tonight, I didn't have to have a lot of room to be able to use it. In other words, be perfect for relic hunting. I'll take a picture of that tomorrow because I know where it is. I was actually going to do that this weekend anyways. I had to go through a bunch of stuff in the office and get my office back. Finally got power out there and everything. So we disconnected when we had a new mobile home brought in and everything. And so I haven't had power out there in like a month or so. And it's been driving me crazy because I hate having my electronics and stuff in that heat, the humidity. But it seemed to handle it well. I had everything packaged up right and sealed up right, but still. Down here, this humidity will just kill stuff badly. I always laugh. We have these anything that is PVC or plastic or whatever. It's supposed to be durable. And after a year or two in this sun, like an RV, we had that fifth wheel trailer, and I park it out here, and I noticed that the little fixtures and stuff like that on the side of the RV were starting to disintegrate. Crack up. The sun is just so brutal down here. You almost have to cover everything. Then you get a tarp that actually disintegrates too. You have to have UV protected tarps and stuff so they last a little bit longer, kind of thing. But you pick them up and they'll just crumble in your hand if they're the cheap blue ones. It's the brutal sun down here, and that mixed with the humidity doesn't go well either. So, kind of talking about everything tonight. It seems like. But yeah, it's been a long couple days for me. She's just doing nothing bad, just normal. We're really involved with the VFW and the auxiliary and stuff like that. A lot of dinners, a lot of the back to school stuff. Trying to make sure we drop off stuff for the kids and meetings and all that kind of thing. But I meet a lot of people too. Being involved with that, so it's kind of nice. We do a lot of. Dinners and stuff, fundraising stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's a good organization to be involved with. You don't find very many more, any more that actually helps our veterans and stuff, and helps families of veterans, and doing it the right way is what I call it. You have a lot of, you don't have to worry about well, you know what I mean, Craig, as far as the scams and stuff like that out there. Mm-hmm. It's nice to be with an organization that you know where the heck the money's going, and you know that you're helping people, and it's going to the people that need it. Our veterans and stuff like that. So, Pauline and I have been involved with them for about 5 years now, and we've just been doing a lot of different stuff. And I ran for president and got the president of the auxiliary, but now we're trying to redo everything. And my gosh, I tell you, this stuff, trying to get stuff repaired and just kind of spruce it up some. I can't believe the cost on some of this stuff. I tell you, and you try to do it yourself, but some of this stuff you can't. I don't know about like electrical. I don't mess with electrical. I get shocked. So luckily you have enough people at a post or something like that. One of those guys is a contractor, so it kind of helps out that way. But I couldn't imagine running some of these places without people working together like that. As far as carpenters and electrical contractors and I don't know, concrete guys, whatever, just regular Joes that belong to the VFW, and I'll do it, no problem. Like, oh, I'm glad you can, because brother, I can do it, but it ain't gonna be right, So it's nice to have people that know their stuff about everything. But we just been super busy with that, and trying to with the weather the way it's been and raining, and it's nothing working together this summer. Everything goes against you. It seems like you got to go out there and do yard work or go out metal detecting even, and 10 minutes later it's raining on you, and it's a river. I'm surprised we haven't had any storms yet. We don't get heavy storms like hurricane storms until like September, October, November. I don't know. I saw one out not in the Gulf of Mexico, but one that's supposedly coming across. We have had a couple of tropical storm things, but I'm actually kind of surprised this year we didn't get pounded yet. I figured we would have. All this weather's been coming out of the east. For us, usually it's coming out of the west, and it's just been a real strange year. I told Pauline I'm getting that funny feeling. We're going to get slapped with something here this fall, pretty good. I hope not, but it's been pretty tame. Several years, with the exception of the hurricane a couple of years ago, but that tore up enough. We don't need any more of those. So,
really,
you guys have been getting slapped with some weird weather too. I think everybody is. I don't know whether the way the currents are going. I don't know. It's strange. We don't get maybe 2 or 3. Hang on. I tell you, I swear these allergies are going to kill me. As far as the storms coming in, we don't normally get ours from the east at all. But maybe once or twice in this area where I'm at. And it's like every single storm in the past month seems like it's coming from that way. Usually we get ours out of the west, out of the Gulf of Mexico side. And we have a sea breeze that goes through here. This has been weird. And then you're talking about up there in Virginia, that you can see the storms coming over the hill, and all of a sudden you get dumped on, and then it's gone, and the electrical storms.
Over the mountain, actually.
Oh, over the mountain and everything. But your weather is within several weeks there. We were like within two degrees of each other, and the weather conditions are the same. You're getting rain, or sunshine. Same here, but on the same days. It was just strange. I say, man, Craig, we live next door. So.
Yeah, up in this area, it's kind of like some of the storms seem to follow up and down the valley.
Yeah.
But we got the Alleghenies right behind my house, probably 3 or 4 miles, 5 miles away. There's a long stretch, probably 5 or 6 miles that I can see. But and then we got some other mountains behind us. One of them, Signal Knob. That's where the Confederates had a big post up there, observation.
Dang, Greg, where are you at? You're in a bucket or something. Sound like you were in a bucket for a minute there. But anyways, you were saying about that hill. What was it called?
Signal Knot. Well, it's actually a mountain, and it's right at the bottom of it, the Shenandoah River.
Oh, okay.
I think the South Fork. But there was a guy named Hopkins that was, I think, in Europe, and he was a cartologist, and he drew all the maps. He got up on his mountains and basically drew maps for Stonewall Jackson, so he could tell him, how to beat the Union guys. He would divide his forces and stuff and take all these guys out and, hold one army while he fought in another army and then come back and destroy the second army and all kinds of different things. But he used the terrain and the mountains to navigate around. A lot of times they go around the mountain and nobody can see him or hear him. And then they pop out ahead of him.
Yeah.
There's so much history up here. It's unbelievable. Everywhere you go, there's historical markers on the side of the road. Stuff. I go right out of town, about 7 blocks. It's Cedar Creek Battlefield, Elk Grove. It's just a huge area. It just probably goes a couple miles down the road there. And it's just, I was talking to some people at the barbecue place the other day, and a lady said her husband used to know the sex, and she looked across the street and she goes, "I bet there's stuff over there." And I said, "Yeah, I know there is." But I heard people were, my friend said when he moved into town about 7 years ago, he saw lights over in that field at night. They asked their neighbor about it, and they said, "Oh, this goes into the know section."
Yep.
But it was just so much activity up here. There was just all over the place.
Yeah, I was just looking through chat here, and I guess I'm supposed to meet Swazi on December 9th and 14th at Disney. Good luck with that, brother. I don't go to Disney World anymore. No, but if you're down here, give me a holler. I'll meet you somewhere over there. I know Mark Hoover will too. He's actually in Orlando. You got a lot of the guys. Was it Dwight Collin, New Age Goonies? They live right by there. We're all kind of within about 80 miles of each other, if that. Not even that far. Mark comes over and hunts with me every once in a while. We need to do that this fall too. But I try to stay away from Disney. Man, just too many doggone people. I love people and everything, but I like them at a distance, right, Craig? So
yeah,
it gets nuts over there with the traffic and stuff. But you'll have fun. I don't know if you're going to Epcot or whatever you're going. Probably taking the family down there. If you do want to go hunting, though, I know that I can drive you over here, but you're probably spending time with the family, so that's more important. Kind of going back.
You remember that movie Soylent Green?
Say it again, Craig.
That movie called Soylent Green.
Vaguely.
The world got overpopulated, and they had this like food in that they gave everybody, the rations, and
it's like dog pellets or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it turned out it was actually humans.
Oh, that's right. God, I haven't thought that was a 1970s movie, wasn't it? God, we're showing our age now. I remember the old man. He got his father he stole a steak or something.
Charlton Heston was the main actor in it. And,
God.
At the end, he finds out, the whole planet's covered with people. No food, nothing growing.
I remember the one part of it. They had the auction for the piece of beef or something like that, and it was like it was like $25 million steak or something like that. And the guy went in and stole it. And, one of the guys was just regular Joe, and he stole it and took it to his grandfather was living with him, and he gave it to his grandfather, and his grandfather asked him, "Do you want it?" He goes, "No, I don't want to have a taste of that because it'd be too good. I've never had that." But he got it for his grandfather or his father or something like that. It was, I didn't even remember the name of that. I mean, I just remember seeing that movie. And that's weird. Where you came up with that at, I have no idea.
Well, I remember all the cheesy movies like that.
Yeah.
If you see them nowadays, you go, God, it was so lame.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was the best there was. It's like Star Trek, it doesn't look like the same stuff nowadays at all. But man, we couldn't wait to watch Star Trek when we were kids, teenagers.
Oh, I still watch that. We watch MASH. I mean, MASH is a classic. I don't care what anybody says. We'll go up to the post there or whatever, and be in the mornings or whatever. 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I have to go in there and do paperwork or something. Bringing paperwork up there to the bar, have a beer, and you're sitting there, and a couple of the guys that always come in there, they're watching MASH or Gunsmoke or whatever. It brings back a lot of good memories for me because we grew up on that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I can remember my mom and dad would watch MASH. Got another episode on or whatever. Shoot. Now we just binge watch that. I can sit there and watch them over and over again. They were just funny. But shoot, I don't know. Kind of got way off topic on all this stuff tonight, but still had fun with it, Craig. So it's all about it's history, right? History.
Yeah.
But probably gonna call it a night, guys. You can tell, man, I haven't been able to put two words together tonight without stuttering and everything else. It's been a long day, but thanks for listening in. I was glad to see Brandon on here tonight. Well, we got two Brandons now. I just call him Swazi anyway. But Ohio Relic Hunter and Paul was on tonight. Brandon from New York, Scotty D. I saw Gavin on here earlier. I don't know where Gavin went. Bob D's been on tonight. I saw Barbara on. Just everybody. The chat is a kind of cool thing. I like panning through there, and I'm always laughing, and Craig's talking about something serious, but I'm actually laughing at. Usually it's Bill. He's an instigator. I know it. He'll start coming up with these one-liners and just make me start giggling over here. I don't know. But thanks for listening, guys, and we're doing our shows on Mondays and Fridays. I know several of you, Bob D and Paul and them have been tuning in for that. We appreciate it. Having a lot of fun with those. Those are more on topic most of the time. And, they're kind of spreading out a little bit as far as, if we do one on settings, we may continue doing, because it's just a topic that takes so many episodes to get through, really. Same with these shows, too. We kind of leave these open formatted. We're trying to do more of the morning shows to be more on topic, so. And Bill's a friggin' troublemaker. I like that. Oh, shoot. Bill's Bill, man. I like Bill, man. You know what? As far as knowledge, he must watch a lot of documentaries or whatever, read a lot or something, because you ask Bill something, and Bill always knows something about that. It's really cool the way it just comes right out. So, there's Gavin. I see Gavin on here. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for following and liking the show and everything. Be sure to do that for the other shows too. Relics Roundup, or Relics Radio, and Relic Roundup, and Beyond Sight and Sound and everything. I know they appreciate it too. And tell a friend about all the shows. Somebody new to the hobby or whatever. Maybe they'll find a little bit of enjoyment in metal detecting. And heck, you might have met a new hunt buddy. Who knows? So, Craig, I'll probably talk to you off air a little bit. But I'm going to get done for the night and go relax and talk to the wife for a while. She's sitting there waiting for me. So thanks for listening, guys. Get out there if you can. Keep digging, and God bless.